Hello there, brothers and sisters. None Superior here. Welcome to my Heroes and Generals guide on light tanks. Today we're going to talk about light tanks, how you can become a tanker, how you can enjoy becoming a tanker, and some tactics on how to tank with the pros. So you want to switch from your regular infantry guy to a tanker? Well, all you have to do is reach rank 3 when Tank Crewman unlocks, and click the Tank Crewman little switch down below. All you have to do at that point is pay for the Tank Crewman slot, and it will unlock. Don't worry though, you can always switch back to a regular infantryman, and you will not lose your rank or your unlocks. Congratulations and welcome to tanking! You will notice if you click on your weapon inventory that your inventory is now smaller than when you were a regular infantryman. It is shrunk from 10 slots down to 6. Which means you can no longer carry your regular infantry weapons. You're going to have to switch to a little submachine gun. But don't worry, it's a pretty effective weapon when the very rare times that you're actually outside your tank. So go ahead and click Enter Combat and find Mission and look at what missions are available to you. Oh, yeah, depending on what time of day you try to join a mission and how many people are playing, you may have a difficult time actually finding a tank mission. This is why I would recommend keeping a regular infantryman and a tanker at the same time. You can have more than one soldier and it will benefit you greatly. There are many times where you will want to play, but there will be no tanking slots available to you. So let's talk tanks. I'm going to take a look at the Axis and Allied light tanks that are available at this point in time. This is a beta. The number of tanks that are available are going to change. The numbers, the armor values, the guns that are available, the weapon damage, it's all going to change. It might not be accurate. I took the information here from a dev post, so whatever. Here we go. Let's start with the German PZ-1A. It's got a little bit of armor. It's got about 13 millimeters of armor all the way around. I'm estimating the armor here, just generally front, side, and rear. It's a lot more subtle than that, and I will post a link to the actual statistics that I got off the website from the dev post. The gun on it is two 7.92 millimeter machine guns, represented in the game as 8 millimeter. I guess the game rounds up. Now let's take a look at the second Axis light tank, the PZ-2C. The armor on it is a little bit better. It's 15 millimeters all the way around. The gun, however, is an actual 20 millimeter cannon firing armor-piercing rounds. At 100 meter range, it'll penetrate 20 millimeters of armor. At 500 meter range, that will drop down to 14 millimeters of armor. And it also has an 8 millimeter machine gun. The third tank you will unlock in the Axis line is the PZ-38T version E. Has quite a bit more armor now. You've got up to 50 millimeters of armor in the front, 30 on the sides, and 15 in the rear. The gun is also much bigger. It's a 37 millimeter cannon firing both armor-piercing and high explosive rounds. At 100 meters of range, it will penetrate 36 millimeters of armor, and at 500 meters of range, it will penetrate 31 millimeters of armor, so it doesn't drop down that much. It also has an 8 millimeter machine gun. Now let's switch to the Allies. The first Allied light tank is the M2A2. It has 16 millimeters of armor in the front, so quite a bit more than the early Axis tanks. Has 16, 13, and 7, so a little weaker in the rear. The guns, however, are just 2 machine guns. However, it gets a 50 caliber machine gun as well as a 30 caliber machine gun. The 30 caliber machine gun is roughly equivalent to the 8 millimeter on the Axis side. On to the second tank, the M5A1 Stuart. This tank has quite a bit more armor, has 30 millimeters in the front, 25 in the sides and rear, and that's roughly equivalent to the 38T that you get in the Axis side. So already you've got more armor than most of the Axis tanks. The gun is also a 37 millimeter cannon, equivalent to the 38T. At 100 meters of range, it gets 62 millimeters of penetration. So you can see right off the bat, it's got a better gun and more armor. It also has a 30 cal machine gun. Finally, the M24 Chaffee has 25 millimeters of armor in the front, so less than the previous M5 does. but it has a much bigger gun and a 75mm cannon doing 80mm of penetration. So, much bigger cannon than the Axis gets, and a bigger cannon than the M5 gets. Also has a machine gun. I couldn't figure out if it was a 50 cal or a 8mm, or a 30 cal or a 50 cal. Wasn't in the doc notes, but it's a machine gun, whatever. Don't forget to repair your vehicle and refill the ammo on it. You do not want to run out in the middle of a fight of either the tank repair or ammo. It's embarrassing. You'll have to leave the game and hopefully come back if the slot doesn't get filled by somebody else. It's happened to me. It's not good. If you're leveling up through the tanks, which doesn't take very long, you may not want to repair or refill your ammo right away, because you'll probably move out of that tank before you need to. But be forewarned. You can also purchase upgrades to the vehicle in the form of supply crates that are on the back of the tank. You can get one of two varieties. One is an infantry supply crate and one is an anti-tank supply crate. What does that mean? The infantry supply crate is the equivalent of the ones you find in the ground with the little plus signs on them, the little crosses on them, that will allow you to refill your rifle ammo, your submachine gun ammo, or your anti-tank weapon ammo. This is kind of key. The anti-tank supply crate is the equivalent of the little Panzerfaust crates you find in the ground with the little one-shot Panzerfaust on them that you have to carry around. Whether you take the infantry supply crate or the anti-tank supply crate is kind of up to you. I prefer the infantry supply crate because when I'm playing my anti-tank infantry, that means I can reload my bazooka or my Panzerschreck. Whereas if I pick up an anti-tank supply crate, I'm carting around a crappy little Panzerfaust, which is not as good. But it's up to you. Now let's look at some general tactics. The most important tactic with playing tanks is battlefield perception. It is situational awareness. First of all, you want to listen. Your tank has a very narrow field of vision, and you will not be able to see what's going on unless you pop your head out, which exposes you to infantry fire and tank fire and dogs biting at your face. It's not good. So you want to stay inside your tank as much as you can. So you're going to have to use your ears. Sometimes infantry don't understand that rifle bullets will not hurt tanks, and they will shoot at you or throw grenades at you. That will give away their position. So, thanks infantry. You can hear vehicles and explosions all around you, and that will give you an indication as to what is going on. Keep an eye out for anti-tank infantry. They are trying to sneak up behind you, and they will shoot you in the butt, and you will have to deal with that. They will use bazookas, Panzerschrecks, landmines, anti-tank grenades, all sorts of things to take out your tank because you are a visible and important part on the battlefield. Keep an eye out and watch where other tanks are shooting. Even if other tanks aren't spotted, that'll give you an indication as to where the fight is really happening. Protect your teammate tankers from anti-tank infantry. Watch each other's backs. You can see over his shoulder and he can see over your shoulder. Now let's look at some Axis-specific tactics. Unfortunately, I haven't played the Allied tanks yet, but a lot of these tactics will apply for both, so don't worry about it. The PZ-2C has the 20mm rapid-fire cannon. This is really good for unarmored vehicles like jeeps and little trucks, and for infantry. The 20mm cannon will one-shot infantry if you get a direct hit. Machine guns for all the tanks can damage and destroy unarmored vehicles. At long ranges, machine guns rounds will bounce off most tanks, including the PZ-38T. But of course, cannon rounds won't. You will have a moment before your tank explodes. Press E to bail out really fast and begin the fight on foot. Submachine guns are very good close-range weapons, and you will be able to rack up a lot of kills even when outside your tank. You can spawn as a passenger in other tanks that are on the battlefield. However, make sure they aren't about to blow up before you spawn inside them. You can capture points without getting out of your tank. You don't have to expose yourself if you can get close enough to the capture point. You cannot manually reload the weapons. However, you can shoot until they empty and let them reload automatically. Don't forget, your gun works against planes, and tanks shooting down planes is one of the most fun and rewarding things you can do. Use the tank's range to your advantage. Infantry cannot fire very far, and infantry anti-tank weapons cannot fire up beyond about 150 meters. Your gun, your cannon, and your machine guns can fire much farther. When all your tanks have been spawned and used up on the battlefield, you're done as a tanker. However, you can spawn as another soldier if you have a regular infantryman or a pilot, and there are pilot slots in the game. Use Q to switch between your machine gun and your cannons. Use the buttons 1 and 2 to switch between armor-piercing and high-explosive cannon rounds, and use C to switch seats between the driver position and the machine gunner position. Your tanker teammates can use the machine gun position if they enter your tank. You can fire your cannon while they are using the machine gun. Use your high explosive rounds against the infantry that are in cover. Well, I hope you found this guide useful. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll be doing more guides for heroes and generals in the future and other games. Click the thumbs up, subscribe, like, tweets the tweets. I'm @NoneSuperior, and until next time, I will see ya.